So, someone had mentioned in the comments that they really enjoyed when I did the ceremancy for the crystal scrying video 1 week, and so I decided to bring that back. This week I'm going to be using, this is a oil that I got. It's sold by a satanic doo-wop band here in Los Angeles called Twin Temple. And as you can see, I've kind of used it quite a bit. I always try to seal it up well. I don't know why it does that. But it smells really, really good. And beeswax candles don't necessarily need too much extra because of their nature, but this oil just smells so incredible, and I feel like it'll add a lot to this particular ceremancy. Now, because these candles are really slender, I will be using 3 of them. If they were more thick, I would probably just use 1 or maybe 2. Oh, don't worry, that doesn't mean anything. It just means I was holding it toward the fat side and snuffed the flame, suffocating it. These are so hard to stick. That's okay. You don't mind waiting, right? It gives me an opportunity to talk about a few things. It's a little difficult for me to incorporate as many visual elements into the crystal scrying videos because I am actually scrying. If you want to watch somebody do a pick a card or something else like that, there's plenty of other YouTube channels that you can watch. But that's not what I'm doing here. You know, I could pretend to scry and tell you a bunch of nice things that you'd like to hear, and I guess that would be more ASMR of me. But I'm actually trying to do divination, and therefore I can't always be focused on having the crystal centered in the camera or have things be a specific kind of way for the camera. But, you know, that's the other thing about a magic channel. Not everybody's gonna get it, and it's not for everyone. So, that's the thing that I try to remain the most mindful of. But now that I've said my piece, I'm going to set the intention. What do we have to look forward to in the upcoming week? We did just have this Gemini full moon eclipse. How many of you enjoyed that? I mentioned it last week. I hope that quite a few of you got to see it. It wasn't very impressive. It's just a little shadow on the moon. And I was able to see quite a bit of it because I live here in Los Angeles. So that was neat. Anyway. So, looking forward not just to the week ahead, but also we're getting to the end of the year. We're going to be going into the month of Kaharka or Koyak, which is the month during which the Osiris mysteries take place. It was the time when Osar was tricked by his brother into climbing into the coffin to see if it would fit him, and then subsequently sealed in there, thrown into the Nile. The coffin floated, was taken up into a tamarisk tree, into the trunk, and the tree grew around it, and a foreign mistress to the leader of that land found this tree trunk and decided she wanted a house built out of it, to have it built in her nursery. And Aset, the wife of Ausar, traveled far and wide to find this place and became nanny to the son of this woman so that she could be close to that tree trunk, and did so in exchange for whatever was encased inside of it. And she ended up, to make the son immortal. It's a similar story as with Achilles, that she dipped him into the waters of chaos to make him immortal. I believe it was. I'm telling you all this straight from memory. And so the woman came in and found her doing this, and Aset transformed into a sparrow and flew high up in the air, reclaimed her husband's body, but then Set, his wicked brother, took the body again and ripped it into pieces with his bare hands and scattered the pieces far and wide. And so, of course, Aset then has to travel with her sister Nebatet to collect all of the pieces once more and put them back together, and bring her husband back to life so that she can conceive the child Heru. And so some of the activities that take place during this month are making corn mummies and retelling this story. So that'll be coming up soon. I believe the beginning of which day? The 10th of December. So actually Thursday of next week. Alright, so I'm going to let these burn down while I am doing the crystal scrying. If there's anything that you'd like to release, go ahead and just let it seep into the flames, let it be burned away by them. Just release it into the flames. Great. You're doing a great job. And I will let these burn down, and then we will read them at the very end.
Hello, 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 hello. So, before we get started, let's talk about the upcoming ephemera for the week. So, on Wednesday the 2nd, the moon will be in Cancer, and then by Wednesday the 9th, the moon will be in Libra. The sun is in Sagittarius, Mercury is in Sagittarius. I think Venus is still in Scorpio, Mars and Chiron in Aries, Neptune in Pisces, and of course Pluto, Capricorn, or Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn in Capricorn. And if you look at them on any star chart software right now, they're all like bunched up really close together. It's kind of neat to look at. They are in the southern hemisphere right now at nighttime when you would be able to see them. So just to keep that in mind. Or they were last night when I tried to look at them anyway. And then Taurus in... Uranus in Taurus. Alright, so Wednesday the 2nd, we've got a square between the moon in Cancer and Chiron in Aries. And then this square that's going to occur between Mars in Aries and the moon in Cancer is going to be on Thursday morning around the same time. So we're talking like a little bit after 5 a.m. Moon in Cancer is a very watery, emotionally charged energy. So whereas Pisces energy is more about not just endings, but things that are more ethereal, psychic states, more like clairvoyance, whereas like Aquarius energy is about being open to these kind of messages coming into you. Moon in Cancer is related to your home life and emotional states regarding that, regarding family. So this Chiron in Aries and then Mars in Aries energy is going to be about beginnings, new things coming in, childish behaviors, immaturity, starting things and not finishing them. Anywhere that's affecting your home life. This square, which is kind of a tough placement, is going to be an opportunity for you to overcome those things. And the way that the cycle is moving through, you've got the Chiron energy, which is about healing those things. And then you have the Mars energy coming through, which is about taking action. Mars energy can be very aggressive, so just be careful that you don't push too hard. We have a sextile between Uranus in Taurus and the moon in Cancer. So again, this could be emotional things regarding your home and family. And Uranus in Taurus is going to be possibly about joint possessions or a group deciding the fate of some kind of property. And so that could definitely have to do with a home life situation. It's a sextile placement, so very favorable to having things work out well for everyone involved. We have a quincunx also on Wednesday the 2nd that's going to be between the moon in Cancer and the sun in Sagittarius. And quincunx is an active, quick-moving energy type of placement. So the sun in Sagittarius could be deciding to go back to school. It can be about new spiritual ideas that you're exploring, or deciding to go on a retreat, or deciding to travel. It could be a trip to see family, especially because we have this quincunx with the moon in Cancer. Definitely will be either affecting your family or having to do with family or the loved ones in your household. Family means a lot of things to a lot of different people, of course. Finally, we have the moon in Cancer is going to be trine Venus in Scorpio. And this Venus in Scorpio placement can be about romantic sexual relationships. But it can also be like joint resources within a relationship, and how your partner's resources are able to impact your life. So this is a trine placement. This is going to be occurring overnight between Wednesday the 2nd and Thursday the 3rd. Here we have on Thursday the 3rd a trine with Neptune in Pisces as well. That's a lot of really watery energy. It's going to be around 6:30 or 9:30 in the morning. So just a very watery time, but it's a trine placement. So as long as you're not, if you have a lot of fire in your chart, you might find things kind of murky at this time. Next, we have these three oppositions moving through. So that's Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn in Capricorn. And that's going to be occurring overnight between Thursday the 3rd and Friday the 4th. So this is moon in Cancer in opposition to this Pluto being about nebulization, Jupiter being about wealth and expansion, and then Saturn being about concretion and establishment. And being in Capricorn, this is going to possibly have to do with career or the way that you are able to utilize your environment for your benefit. Then on Friday, the moon is going to enter Leo. Now we have a trine between, there's a cluster right here. So there's a trine that involves the moon in Leo, Mercury in Sagittarius, and Chiron in Aries. And that's going to be a very interesting energy. It's not trining up exactly at the same time, but they're all going to be clustered right there. So you're going to have a lot of fire energy then coming out on Friday the 4th, right after this trine that we see between moon in Cancer and Neptune in Pisces. So fire signs take heart. Moon in Leo, creative endeavors, romance. Mercury in Sagittarius, again, we're talking about a lot of the things that we were talking about, Sun in Sagittarius, but even more intellectual. So it could be going back to school, higher education, travel for all these things you do to improve yourself, spiritual ideology, exploring that. And then Chiron in Aries, again, healing all the parts of yourself that are maybe immature or don't follow through with things that you've started. And that, again, is going to be Friday the 4th, kind of in the afternoon and evening. Then we're going to have a square between the moon in Leo and Uranus in Taurus. So, could be if you have a shared studio space with somebody, there could be some serious discussion about how things are moved around in that space. Moon in Leo can also have to do with your emotional relationships with your children. And also romance. Romantic love. Not as much about the sexuality behind it, but the things that you do for other people that are chivalrous, that show that you care. So there being a square there with the Uranus in Taurus having to do with shared possessions or a bunch of people delegating possessions. Could be a serious discussion with a partner as well about shared responsibilities regarding your joint possessions. Alright, Saturday the 5th. Moon is still in Leo. We have a trine now with the sun in Sagittarius. So could be wrapping up a lot of that energy that we had in the afternoon of Friday the 4th. We're going to have a square with Venus in Scorpio. So moon in Leo, again, it can be about a romantic energy. It can be about artistic endeavors, but it can also be about emotion and romance. And we have Venus in Scorpio, which can be about sex, but it can also be about your partner's resources in a relationship. And that's going to be a square. That's happening in the afternoon, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It's going to start a OP, opportune period, that's going to be very good for play and romance. And that's going to be, it's only about an hour, not quite a full hour, because it's going to last until the moon is void, of course. So from like 1:45 to 2:45 or 4:45 to 5:30, depending on which coast you're on. And then there's also a quincunx between Moon in Leo and Neptune in Pisces. Great creative energy. And later in the evening, we're going to have a trine between Venus in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. And so again, a lot of very watery energy. Although Venus is native to Libra, so a little bit of air energy kind of casually thrown in there. But definitely good for continuing this opportune period, kind of finalizing a lot of that stuff that you might have been doing earlier. We have Venus in Scorpio, quincunx, Mars in Aries. And let me see if... Oh, good. Candle's burning away. I don't see then Chiron in Aries making a placement to Venus in Scorpio, so we'll just deal with this. Mars in Aries is a very aggressive energy, but also very like primal. So again, could be a really sexual energy that's going to be either 10:40 or 1:40 overnight between Saturday and Sunday, the 5th and 6th. Another overnight energy we're going to be looking at is Moon in Leo, quincunx, Pluto in Capricorn. So that cycle is going to be starting overnight between the 5th and 6th. So if you have a moon in Leo, this is your time to deal with those Capricorn energies, Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn. And it's also to do with, like I said, could be about a creative endeavor. So if you have a creative project that you're working on, this could be a good time to kind of move it toward the career side of things, because that is a quincunx energy too. We have a quincunx between Mercury in Sagittarius and Uranus in Taurus, and that's going to be kind of early in the morning on Sunday the 6th, so not exactly a time when a lot of people might be awake. But Mercury in Sagittarius, again, these intellectual pursuits that one does to improve themselves. Being a quincunx with Uranus in Taurus, which is about, again, a group of people making plans for some kind of property. So, could have to do with a religious organization you're involved in. Some kind of action will be taken. Could have to do with a trip that you take with a few other people. I do hear cult kind of loud in my ear, so if any of you are involved in that kind of religious organization that people sometimes call a cult, there could be something going on that morning. And then later in the morning and early afternoon, the moon's going to enter Virgo. And we'll get a quincunx between the moon in Virgo and Chiron in Aries around 8 or 11:30 in the evening. And then the quincunx with Mars in Aries is going to be the following evening around the same time, on Monday the 7th. So with the moon in Virgo, you're looking at your daily routines. You can also be looking at neuroses, dealing with neuroses, especially neuroses that keep you from finishing projects, maybe, or how your daily routines begin, the beginning of your daily routine, maybe, but also related, to emotional states, possibly, and could be something about health as well. You could be looking at this as a good time to start a new health regimen. Especially because with the Mars energy, you're going to get a lot of vigorous action. This is going to be a quincunx placement, so it would be good for that. Monday the 7th, we have Moon in Virgo trining Uranus in Taurus. And that's going to happen right after midnight or right after 3 a.m. Well, like 12:45 or 3:45. And so this could have to do with like daily routines that you share with other people that involve joint property, like who does the dishes, stuff like that, or routines at work, routines in your workplace possibly, especially like who whose turn is it to clean this piece of work equipment, or how are we going to distribute this particular piece of work equipment, something like that. Even though that's really early in the morning, that might be affecting some of you overnighters. So a little bit later in the morning, Moon in Virgo is going to square Mercury and the sun in Sagittarius, not at the same time. The Mercury square is going to happen in the morning and the sun square is going to happen in the afternoon. So it could be a situation where some things get set into motion in the morning, and then in the afternoon you kind of wrap that energy up. And again, Moon in Virgo is about daily routines, about your health, and it's about your emotional states concerning those things, which is why sometimes you get like neuroses or OCD tendencies wrapped up in those things. But then Mercury being this intellectual pursuit, possibly with others. And because it's a square placement, it could be that there's just extra oomph there, but it could also be that there's some kind of tension. There's going to be an opportune period on Monday when the moon in Virgo opposes Neptune in Pisces. That's going to happen around 7:45 or 10:45 in the evening. And it's going to last until the moon is void of course on Tuesday afternoon. And that's going to be around 2:30 or 5:30 in the afternoon. The moon in Virgo is also going to, there's that quincunx with Mars and Aries at the end of Monday the 7th. That's going to wrap up that energy, but we already went over that. Tuesday the 8th, moon in Virgo, sextile Venus in Scorpio. Now this is a really good energy for, and it's going to start around 12:20 or 3:20 in the morning. So this could be an energy that you end up utilizing. It could not. Again, it could be your partner's resources that you're able to use, but it could also be a sexual energy. And with that sextile with the moon in Virgo, it could be that you guys get into a new sexual routine. It could be talking about your health or the health of your relationship. Those kinds of things. And then around 4:50 or 7:50 in the morning, we're going to start that Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn in Capricorn transit. And with the moon in Virgo, it's going to be a trine. So, again, daily routines, kind of like figuring out where you need to be in relation to your work environment, possibly, and getting all of that stuff worked out. And then the moon's going to enter Libra. And on Wednesday the 9th, we're going to have the opposition with Chiron in Aries. And then in the opposition with Mars in Aries is going to happen the following day around the same time, but that's going to be like 20 minutes after midnight or 3:20 in the morning. And again, I say that it depends on if you are living in the United States and which coast you live on. We also have a quincunx. Oh, sorry, I need to talk about that. So, Chiron and Aries, again, being this healing things about yourself that are immature, that start things and don't finish them. This moon in Libra energy could be emotional states in partnerships. It could also be hidden legal matters. So anything related to that, and then that Mars in Aries being the action that pushes you finally completely out of that cycle of behavior. All right, so this quincunx is going to be between Uranus and Taurus and the moon in Libra. And quincunx being a action-oriented energy. There's the possibility that if there's like a hidden legal matter going on or an obscure legal matter, that that involves property that a lot of people are disputing, that some action could be made at that time. The sun in Sagittarius is going to square Neptune in Pisces. So, again, all those things that you do to elevate yourself being squared by this very watery energy that is rife with possibility. And that's the key to that Neptune in Pisces energy. So there's going to be a tension there because it's a square, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be to the detriment. Moon in Libra is sextile Mercury in Sagittarius. And then later in the evening, so kind of early in the afternoon, is when the sextile with Mercury in Sagittarius is going to be. And then later in the evening, like either 11:20 or 2:20 in the morning, is when that sextile with the sun is going to be. Now, again, this has to do with intellectual pursuits to elevate yourself. And Moon in Libra can be partnership energy. It's an energy of equalization. So any place where there needs to be parity in your life, especially if you're talking about your emotions or your creative art endeavors, or anything that's hidden. Hidden places where you're lacking parity might come up in relation to that during this time. And you're going to have a quincunx between the Moon in Libra and Neptune in Pisces. And that's going to be occurring either 10:30 at night or 1:30 in the morning. Again, depending on if you live on either coast. And that is an energy of action. And Neptune in Pisces is a lot of possibility. It's basically that there are so many possibilities available that it absolutely clouds things. And so that being a Moon in Libra energy makes a lot of sense. But there is a quincunx there, so there could be some kind of action being taken. Maybe even like a stab in the dark. And that is it for the general ephemera for this upcoming week. I know I usually do them for each sign at the time, but I might talk about them a little bit when I get to each sign, but I just felt like covering them all at once at the beginning this time. And for those of you who expressed your concern last week over my not feeling well, I found out that I'm actually allergic to something that's in the tap water this time of year, so I got a water filter, and I haven't been having problems with it since. But I think it's sometimes like if there are allergens in the air, sometimes they end up in the water supply. So if you have seasonal allergies of any kind and you find yourself getting a lot of heartburn when you drink water, I recommend getting a water filter and cooking with filtered water. This week I will be using Unikite. I don't remember if I've ever used Unikite to scry before. I don't know how it'll go. We'll see. All stones have different energies. And to me, the metaphysical properties of stones is very dependent on your context for the stone. And it's more important to actually vibe with the minerals themselves then, I mean, you can look online and see what different stones are supposed to be for, and to some extent that helps, but I think it's also more important to resonate with the stones on your own terms and figure out what it means to you. Hello, Aries. Let's talk about your week ahead, December 2nd through December 9th. Mars and Chiron still traveling through your sign. And we talked about the transits in the intro that those will be making. But it's a great opportunity to make permanent and lasting change in your life regarding anything to do with not following through with things that you've started, any kind of immaturity or childishness, things like that. What are we looking at here for Aries for the week ahead? You've got some kind of overgrowth, and this could be like not having cut your hair since the beginning of quarantine. It could be that your diet is off balance and you are eating too much sugar and it's causing an overgrowth of yeast in your body. It could be your yard. It could be like, and some kind of anxiety about it. There's an overgrowth and it's causing you anxiety. Now, if this is something to do with your internal physiognomy, a lot of times those physical ailments will cause a psychological symptom. Could be a situation where that's going on. But I'm not a doctor. Only you and your doctor are going to know if that applies to you. There's also a possibility that it has to do with a garden. And you really care about this garden, and you're seeing that it's overgrown and it's causing you anxiety because for whatever reason you don't have the energy or the time possibly to go out there and deal with this garden. And so it's causing you anxiety that way. It's like you've let something slip by the wayside, and now that it is kind of out of control, you're feeling very stirred up about it. And I think some of you are probably in a situation now where you can do something about it. I don't think that it's something that you let slide because you were feeling lazy or trying to postpone or procrastinate. I feel like this is something that you did not have time to deal with, and now you are going to not like you're gonna pay for it, but that now you're gonna have to deal with it. The issue will be forced for some reason. Calf extender, some kind of calf extender, like a piece of exercise equipment. that it's kind of like a rowing machine, maybe, but maybe it's one of those things where you tuck your feet under and then are able to do crunches and leg exercises and stuff. I feel like a calf extender is some kind of piece of workout equipment, so that could be something that some of you are going to be getting back into a workout routine coming up soon. And we do have like a moon in Virgo moving through that Chiron and Mars in Aries transit, so it's a good time to do that. It has to do with routines and health. So any kind of changes that you want to make that way is going to be a perfect time to do that for you. Especially if you're an Aries who has a moon in Virgo. We've got several different I get that there's like several different managers at this one place. And if you're dealing with the one manager, everything's one way. If you're dealing with the other manager, things are totally different. It's like too many cooks in the kitchen, and it's like there's several different managers over this huge team of people for some of you. And these are for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, so could be, specific to someone in particular for sure. Somebody's gonna step down. I don't think it's you. I think it's gonna be a situation where this person gets caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Because there were so many people around at that managerial level, it was easy for this person to come in and start. I don't know if they were necessarily embezzling money. It looks like they might have just been taking product. Like they could have been damaging out product and taking it home and either reselling it or just using it, depending on, what kind of business this is. If this is like a grocery store and you have a bunch of different managers and somebody comes in and just like damages out a bunch of food and takes it home, then they're not paying for that. And they're gonna end up, probably, it's gonna be a deal where I feel like they're pretty well liked. And so rather than being criminally prosecuted, they're just going to step down out of this position and leave the company and go somewhere else. And everybody's just going to keep kind of quiet about it. And after that happens, I feel like there might be a change in how there's going to be a restructuring so that there won't be as many managers at a certain level, because I feel like it was not just a supervisory level. This was like a step above that, so that there was like a decentralization of this authority that allowed this to happen. And higher up corporate is going to be stepping in to kind of restructure things and make sure that doesn't happen anymore. Is there anything else that I need to tell Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead? keep moving. Like, even if you're not busy, like, do some stretches, do some crunches. And I'm not saying that because all of you need to get on a workout regimen. I just feel like it will, for you to stay more kinetic and effective and be able to act when you want to act this week, you're going to want to just keep your body in motion. All right, Aries, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Hello, Taurus, and welcome to your week ahead for December 2nd through the 9th. So, what messages do I need to convey to Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead? You've given someone too many chances, or I feel like there's somebody with whom you've overextended yourself. It could be a romantic partner, but it could also just be a work situation. And it's not so much that this person is taking advantage of you as that you have put yourself out there and it has ended up draining you, either energy-wise or could be financially too. Which Taurians are often very generous with the people around them, so I feel like usually you're very aware of how much you're able to put out there for people, but this person in particular might be somebody that you have a hard time saying no to. Whether it's because they are a boss and you're giving this person a lot of your energy, or they're a romantic partner and you are giving them a lot of your resources. There could be any number of factors at play, and those are really just two scenarios that I put out there. It could be a parent, it could be a close friend, or somebody that you've known for a long time. So there's a lot of different scenarios that are cropping up, but the general idea being that you've overextended yourself in this situation. And it's not that they aren't, well, okay, so right now they're not giving back to you. Probably they're not in a position to, whatever this scenario is, if you feel this need to help this person out in whatever kind of certain way. Obviously they're not in a position for whatever reason. But that's not necessarily always been the dynamic, that this person always just takes and takes and takes. And I think that's why you've been willing to put yourself out there so much for this person at this time. But you are going to find yourself very drained by this situation, just depending on what it entails, whether it's financial or romantic, or could be any number of things. Could be just about anything, and it is a general reading. Hold on. because I've been reading books about this, so I want to make sure that I'm not clouding my own judgment with these certain things. Meridian. Yeah. Your personal meridians. Like looking in the mirror at yourself and seeing how things line up in your body, because most people are not perfectly symmetrical. There's something that's very specific to you, and I feel like it's body meridians, and it could have to do with your energies as well. Like maybe on one side of your body you have shoulder pain and you also have hip pain, or maybe on one side of your body, like you have, because it's gonna line up straight up and down. So either you know exactly what I'm talking about, or it doesn't probably apply to you. There's going to be some kind of flare up in this particular meridian. How are you going to be able to I get that it has to do with chakras, possibly, for some of you. And again, I am not a Reiki practitioner. So this might be something that if you do Reiki on yourself, that you already know about, or that you would want to, let's see. Because chakra just means wheel. Like, it's not like the chakra is just right there and it doesn't, there's like a vortex of energy there. This isn't like your main core of chakras. This is like your peripheral nervous system and vortices that we're talking about, and that's why it's a little bit obscured. Obviously, if there's like blockages in your main chakras, that's going to be one thing. But it's near the heart chakra, but I really feel like it could have to do with a shoulder. But there's like a meridian that's involved in that as well, and I'm not quite sure how to talk about it. I do know a little bit about energy healing, but that's not really the kind of modality that I use. The way that I'm being told is not how I usually am like, my thingy is doing the thingy. Or I use more like medical terminology for myself when I'm dealing with my own body. Yeah, it could even be like shoulder and knee pain or something like that. And you're going to have to deal with it using the heart chakra. It might be related to a blockage in the heart chakra, but it's actually in this meridian over here. And you're going to want to apply heat. What else do I need to tell Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead? Be fearless. Don't weigh your heart down with concern. And that might have something to do with it too. Don't give yourself over to these emotions of fear, because they're going to end up holding you back when you need to move forward. Is there anything else I need to tell Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising? I'm hearing no, you've done quite enough. Thank you. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Hi, Gemini. Welcome back. Let's talk about your week ahead. The December 2nd through the 9th. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. Let's see. Some of you are going to be giving birth this week. And for those of you who are not pregnant in the typical, or biological, I should say, those of you who are not pregnant in the biological sense of the word, you might be giving birth to a new business, a new work of art, a creative endeavor. It's like I'm seeing this circle here that's like a womb, and there's like an electrical storm going on inside, which is relating to the primordial state of our planet right before life developed here, unicellular life. So right now, and it could be this week and then leading up to next week, you find yourself trudging through this primordial soup in which an electrical storm is occurring. Something like that. And you might say something like, I don't have a uterus. To which I would say, I disagree. I think that the sex organs that your physical body possesses are an entirely different matter than the reproductive organs of your ethereal and subtle body, which extends much further and has a lot more. Like, you could even have tentacles and not know it. Wild, right? Anyway, it's not my place to talk about other people's tentacles in public. But this is something that you love like a child, that you name like a child, that you raise and allow to develop into its own personhood like a child. It's going to be very much the same kind of development process, and it's going to begin very soon for you. Probably there's been a long gestation period leading up to this, and now we're getting to the point where you're getting closer to actually giving birth, either this week or possibly next for some of you, depending. That's what I'm seeing for you this week, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. There's a building here. It's like a red brick building overgrown with moss. Could be an abandoned building. This could be a building that you have purchased for this particular project. It could be the building where you live. It could be part of a school. Could be, where your business takes place. There could be a photo shoot going on there that really solidifies the imagery for what you're putting out there. Seven people. Could be a board of directors, could be a friend group, could be a group of investors, could be any number of those all together. 7 people, and you're the 8th person. Yeah. So this is like your Pleiades. This is like your, this group of muses, kind of, that these people have helped you direct this project where it needs to go. And I'm getting the number 7, and I see like a lot of celestial imagery in regards to that. I am wearing a star scarf, but I don't think it has to do with that. Yeah, like a celestial cow. So I know there's also like the 7 Hathors. You could be working with somebody who is like 7 Hathors, 7 muses, the Pleiades, all of this idea of these celestial maidens who direct this voyage. And I'm not quite sure what that would have to do with each individual birth or project that each one of you is working on. But I'm getting kind of that impression, so I'm going to leave that up to you to interpret. There are other people around you who have been bailing water out. I'm getting a lot of imagery having to do with like a celestial bark and sailing through the sky. And a lot of these people have been bailing water out, siphoning water out even, of this boat. Because again, if you're traveling through some kind of primordial soup in the middle of a big electrical storm, it might be difficult to keep your vessel upright. And that might have something to do with it too. What are you wearing, Gemini? I often hear that in the Gemini reading. I hear somebody going like, what are you wearing? So I don't know if that's something you get asked a lot, but it seems to be particular to the Gemini readings. What else do I need to tell Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead? You've been doing this already. This is just the next step forward. And it is going to be a lot like giving birth. It's going to be kind of painful. It's going to be a process that you have to go through. It won't last for, days or weeks at a time. It'll be over, relatively quickly when you look at the grander scheme of things, but it could be kind of a painful process, kind of a trial. Kind of like the Judgment card has to do with the path of Shin in Kabbalistic path working. This is going to be kind of like that. And I am starting to work on some path working videos, but I haven't gotten very far into it yet. So I haven't gotten that far. Otherwise, I will advise you to, if you feel like you need guidance, to meditate on the Judgment Tarot card. That could be helpful to you during this time. And the path of Shin in Kabbalistic path working would be very helpful to you as well. Is there anything else I need to tell Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead? No, that's it for you, Gemini. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you soon. Hello, Cancer. So this is going to be your week ahead, December 9th through the 2nd through the 9th. What do I see for you the week ahead? We have several cosplay characters. So if you do cosplay, this could be about that. Working on different costumes. But it could also be about the traits of different characters that you are working into your personality during this time. Like, I love how this character is always very brave in the face of adversity. I'm going to work that into my personality. I like how lovable this character is and how everyone always falls in love with them. I'm going to integrate that into my personality. Just seeing all of these different facets of other people that you are observing at this time and integrating into yourself. I see the number 3 here. Could be 3 different characters, but I feel like it's more characters than that. There's 3 stages, 3 different partitioned out stages to this process. The first part of the process being I observe. The second part being teasing out the parts that are relevant to you and figuring out how they apply to your life. And then the third part being the integration of them into your own personality. And there are other people involved in this process too. Some of them want you to be successful, and some of them there are some people here, and I don't know if they have actual There's some people here in administrative capacity to your life, and they're just sitting there like stamping paperwork. There's could be like this could be a landlord situation. It could be like unemployment if you're getting unemployment assistance at this time. And they're helping you out in this situation. But I don't think that they're helping you out because they have an emotional investment. Their assistance is purely bureaucratic. So this could even be if you are considering applying for unemployment benefits, or if there are different grants that you can apply for, things like that. I would recommend doing that at this time, because I feel like you have a good chance to get them, not just by luck alone, but because of some kind of thing that you have going on specifically. And there are other people here too. I feel like a lot of people around you, maybe not like physically in your space, but there are a lot of people helping your situation to come together the way that it is. But yeah, like a lot of archetypal integration going on for you right now. And that being, for some of you, it's going to be based around fictional characters that you desire to emulate. For some of you, it could be more religious. It could be more like about historical figures. It's just going to depend on who your paradigms are. That's kind of what you're processing right now, is how to become that paradigm that you see in others. And things are set up for you right now that you're able to explore that. There's something about your personal life that's coming through. There's a shadow. It's like not just you and whatever person that you're in a relationship with. It's like both of you also have your shadows, have to be able to get along. I think for a lot of you, your shadows have gotten along very well. But it's almost like you get along so well that even the negative aspects of you and your partner get along. Not even our shadows disagree. And disagreement is different from fighting. Like, you can have a fight and still agree with somebody, but not understand that that's the case for whatever reason. But being very much on the same page with another person, while still maintaining your individual selves. There are other aspects of this that are not coming through clearly, like they're in the shadows. there's like a lot of stuff that's on the surface. It's all very clear and very cut and dry. But then, and this is true for a lot of reality, that there are things that are kind of like buried underneath the surface. And it might not even be things that you can actually deal with. It's like this kind of nebulous idea of unseen hazards, which always exist. No matter how stable you are in your life, there's always the potential that, that something that you cannot foresee will interfere in your life. Even for me, who sits here week after week staring at a rock and telling you that it gave me messages. And I think that this is kind of like an underlying current for you. And that's why you're building up this wall of paradigms for yourself. That this is going to protect you from these situations becoming a problem. But like I said before, there's this whole bureaucratic team behind you, kind of creating a safety net or a buffer zone between you and uncertain tragedy. So it's not like you have to be the only one to hold yourself out of the fire. Because there's a lot of help available to you. And like I was saying, it's not because people like you. It's not that people don't like you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, this is help that is available to you by merit of the fact that you meet certain criteria. This is more about meeting certain criteria than it is about necessarily even deserving it or being given things because people like you, which is better in a lot of ways. It's based in, all kinds of recourse. It's more concrete. Somebody can like you a lot and still not be able to bankroll your operation. So that's good. What else is going on for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising this week ahead? Give a little bit more attention to your personal appearance. And this is part of your transitional process. This isn't like you need plastic surgery or you need a whole new wardrobe, but like make sure that you're brushing your hair and your teeth, wash your face, just kind of like clean yourself up around the edges. And it's more of a partially it's psychological. It's you looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing yourself in a certain way. And part of it is, even if you are not a super normie kind of a person, you don't have to be. Even if you're not putting yourself out there in a really cleaned up kind of way. And I'm not saying like you have to put a ton of effort into your appearance. It's more like just the grooming part of it. So not even makeup necessarily, but just like the grooming aspects. And I'm not saying that you don't take care of yourself, but like wearing a belt, wearing matching socks, or if you're wearing mismatched socks, for that to be like part of the look. Wearing not house shoes, but like they don't even have to be super nice shoes, but like a clean-ish pair of tennis shoes, or a clean-ish pair of casual work shoes, something like that. I really like cowboy boots for that reason, and you can pick them up kind of cheap on eBay. It's difficult to get like a good fit, so if you have issues with walking for whatever reason, that might not necessarily work for you the same way, because your foot would slide around. Yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to want to look for this week, because that's going to be the external presentation. Yeah, like the idea of cosplaying these characters. Part of that is going to be the physical projection of that. And I mean, like I was saying, it doesn't have to be like spot on cosplay, especially if we're talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But finding ways to incorporate the appearance of that paradigm into your own physical day-to-day regimen. Is there anything else that I need to talk to Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising about? I think that's pretty much it. Maybe like watch your spending. Financial expenditure doesn't have to be a part of your transformative process unless you want it to be. All right. Have a great week. Hello, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is going to be your week ahead for December 2nd through the 9th. So, getting closer to the end of the year. This time I went through all of the ephemera at the beginning of the video, so I won't be covering them individually, but the moon will be in your sign of Leo this week. I believe Friday. Yeah, Friday. Sorry. I'm back. Friday and then part of Saturday too, I think. So you can watch the ephemera portion of the video and get more information about that. It is a good creative energy. And I will mention that there is going to be a really powerful fire trine that's going to be like Moon in Leo and then Mercury in Sagittarius, I think, and then also Chiron and Mars are in Aries. So on that Friday, there's going to be like those three planets kind of forming a fire trine. So that'll be interesting and worth utilizing to good creative effect. Something that can, if you feel like you've been stagnating, you can use it to propel your life forward, that energy. What else do I need to tell Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this week ahead, the 2nd through the 9th? Potholes. I don't see it as like you driving down the road and hitting potholes. What I see is there's like holes in the ground that others might perceive as hazards, but you are using them. Like maybe this is a place where you are using this pre-existing hole to place a support beam for something, or that you find this hole in the ground and you're able, there's like rocks going into a hole. Species. There's like different species, and you might be taking core samples from soil. You might be and then filling the hole back up again. So maybe taking a core sample and then refilling the hole. This is weird. This is not sorry, my bed's creaking. This is not a procedure that I'm super familiar with. It could also be like a biopsy. Some of you might be getting a biopsy. Some of you, this is about like taking core samples and testing for different microorganisms and worms and insects. If that's the case, it might be near running water. There's also this idea of somebody burying something in a hole and covering it with rocks. So that might be you as well. I don't know if this is a pet that's deceased. I don't think it is something that is deceased. I think that it is something like buried treasure almost. There's like the idea that there's like a cache. There could be geocaching if you do that. But it's a slightly different energy because this is a general reading for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So there's something about this general energy that has to do with things being present in a whole, and either that whole being something that you're investigating or the whole being something that you're utilizing to stow something away for safekeeping. This is not like a safe deposit box at a bank. This isn't like that. It's like you're burying something in the ground. This could be a magical working that some of you do, especially with that. The Mercury and Sagittarius placement would be about like intellectual pursuits that you would take part in to improve yourself, to raise yourself up. So it could be something to do with that. What else do I need to tell Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this week ahead? You've got plenty of energy to dedicate to your life's work this week. I myself have been having problems with my energy levels, and a lot of that has to do with allergy season. Even here in LA, I still have allergies, but at least they're not as bad as they were. So, this week will be good for energy for you. And yeah, there's an idea of not just hiding something away, but also the analysis of hidden things. Almost like a microscopic level. So, like I was saying, a biopsy or taking core samples out of the earth. What else do I need to tell Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this week? You're going to be given an opportunity for something. And this energy is really general. So it could be this week, but it could also be early next year. This is kind of like not totally specific to just this week, but for some of you, it might be an opportunity that's coming in this week. There's going to be a lot to do with discernment and like being able to walk kind of a narrow path. For a lot of you, there's something really specific that you have been working toward for a long time. And the closer that you get to that, the more specific that you're going to have to be. Because you might have started out really broad. But the closer that you get to this goal, if you have a singular goal, then the end of the path to get there is going to be kind of singular as well. So that's something to consider. And not to give up on this thing entirely. It's okay to take a breather, especially if you're getting burnt out on something. But you're almost there. And it's important to not entirely give up. There's a difference between releasing your expectations and the want. And this is something that we go into in sigil magic, where the more you want something, the less effective your sigil may be, because the wanting is strong. It prevents the forgetting, and it prevents the praxis and the synthesis that goes on in your subconscious to allow these things to take place. So there's going to have to be a letting go that occurs, but it doesn't have to be letting go of your goal. It just has to be letting go of that wanting. I want to say expectation, but that's not really it either. Although you do have to also let go of the expectation, because if you have a certain idea of how something's going to look and it doesn't actually look like that, then that's also going to get in the way of your manifesting that result. So that's part of it too. Is there anything else that I need to talk to Leo about for December 2nd to the 9th? Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Spend an adequate amount of time in the kitchen. Go in the kitchen and make yourself real, delicious things to eat. Don't just count on someone else to feed you, and don't just grab like the first thing that you see or think about when you walk into the kitchen. Actually go in there, buy good healthy ingredients that you can combine in different ways, and actually spend time in the kitchen. You don't have to spend time in the kitchen every time you go in there. You can prepare things ahead of time and have them ready in the refrigerator, and then you can eat them later. But spend time preparing your food. Is there anything else? That's it for you, Leo. Have a great week. Hello, Virgo. Hello, 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 hello. Let's talk about your week ahead for December 2nd through the 9th. Excuse me. Somebody's baking shortbread cookies. I see somebody in the kitchen baking quite a lot this winter, actually. A lot of pastries and cookies, pies. Might be something that some of you are doing to stave off the winter doldrums. And I think you're going to be eating a fair amount of this, but that it's possible too that you have a group of people that you might be sharing these baked confections with, and that this sharing these baked goods with people is a way for you to stay close together during this time. It's possible you could even be mailing things out of state. If you have friends or relatives who live far away, you could be mailing things to them or receiving things in the mail that are baked confectionery goods. What else do I need to talk to Virgo about? Virgo, sun, moon, and rising for the week ahead, December 2nd through the 9th. We've all been walking through this knee-deep swamp. That's what I'm hearing. It's not particularly treacherous. You can't see the bottom. There are rushes, but they're sparse, and they come up at the most waist high. It's more like a wetlands. And maybe you've got waist-high waders on. The water's about knee-deep, like I mentioned. see you out there with your adventuring hat with kind of a wider brim on it and a feather in the hat and a walking staff. And there are birds around. There is a tree line kind of on two edges. And then the other two edges go off into farmland. And one boundary is formed by like brush. What is going on in this wetland? I just see a man wearing that hat like I described, button-down shirt with a short collar, brown trouser, and just walking along, and he picks up a fish with his hand, just like a little minnow, like would be in a wetland. It's not a very big fish. He's just petting the fish, basically. There's abundance here. This could easily be converted into, oh, he's an ecologist. Sometimes I have to talk a lot about stuff that I don't really know that much about, like ecology, or there was stuff in the Leo reading about ecology too, I think. This man's an ecologist, and that's why he was, inspecting the fish to see, like, is the fish in good health? The water, the value of the wetland is greater than the value would be if this were farmland. Wetlands provide an indispensable service for purifying the groundwater and providing a transitional environment between different kinds of botanical zones, different tree growth. There's something like that in your life, Virgo, where you feel like you've been trudging through a swamp. But in all actuality, that swamp holds greater value than if you had the same amount of dry land. Wetlands are a very valuable resource and very underappreciated by capitalism and corporations. This guy, he's walking through this wetland. There are parts of the wetland too, like he has this round that he does where he goes around the perimeter of the wetland near the shore, but he doesn't go out, even though it's probably not very deep out there. He doesn't go out there because he's trying not to disturb the wildlife as much as possible. He's trying to allow the wetlands to be as pristine as he can while still doing his job, which is to make sure that they are clean and that there are not contaminants leaching into the water, or that the wildlife is in good shape. What else do I need to tell Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this particular week ahead? The moon will be in Virgo this week, I think starting on Sunday and then going through Monday. So you can watch the general ephemera at the beginning of the video if you want to know more about that transit in particular. People are arriving at a conclusion based on suspicion. There is a suspicion that you are holding on to a very valuable resource, Virgo. Much like this wetland. And it's possible that others deem it appropriate that they should become involved in whatever situation that might be. But that's not necessarily the case. Nosy neighbors. Nosy neighbors who don't know their business and don't know your business. Oh, wouldn't that be a great place to grow rice? Wouldn't that be a convenient spot to put fill in that swamp and put like a shopping center there? Yeah, that's kind of like what I'm hearing specifically, which is a very interesting mentality that some people have. This piece of land is so unique and beautiful. How can I completely transform it to something that is totally the opposite? That kind of idea is coming in as well, because for some of you, this thing that you are a custodian to, I mean, most of you are not, it's not going to be talking about a wetland specifically. For most of you, this is going to be something that is similar to that, in that its value is not. Its value is intrinsic. It's not part of a product. It's not really a product. It's that it has its own value as a resource outside of capitalist gain. And that's why it's important to guard it against nosy neighbors. You will be able to do a reasonable job of this. It's only if you are unable to fulfill these duties due to sickness or some other kind of interference that there will be a problem. But as long as you're able to fulfill this particular requirement as the custodian of, could be space, could be a thing, a possession that you own. It could even just be like it could be a temporal state. It could be between worlds. It could be an astral place. Any of these things are possible. Something that you hold on to not because of its intrinsic value, but because of the value that it has overall. How are we going to charge people for clean air by the can if they have a free source of it right here? How do we charge people for clean water if there's a clean water source right here? Things like that. Something like that, Virgo, and it's going to be different for all of you. And there's a resonance to this, whatever it is that you're doing, or this place. There's like, if I can describe to you, that metaphysically speaking, there is, like several different levels of existence. And so here we are on the physical plane. There's resonance levels of this that stretch into the astral and spiritual and even like beyond that. So when you act as a custodian at this level, because that's how I get the feeling for it too, is not that you own this, it's that you are the custodian of this. So when you protect the wetlands at this physical level, you're also protecting all those other levels. If it ceased existing on this level, there would still be resonance, but it wouldn't be the same. There would be a link there that was severed. And so on the physical plane, we would no longer be able to access that. So there's something like that for you this week, where you feel like you've just been slogging through the mud, petting fish, and actually you've been doing something quite important in the overall scheme of things. But you did it because it was the right thing to do. It's not like something that you did because you were expecting any kind of reward. Is there anything else that I need to tell Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this week ahead? Have a great week. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Hello, Libra, and welcome to your December 2nd through the 9th crystal scrying forecast. This will be for Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What do I see here for your week ahead? Somebody got a broken bone. This could be you. There could be some Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising out there who broke a bone. Very sorry to hear about that, if this is the case for you. And I hope that you feel better soon. There will be a full moon, or no, not a full moon, but the moon will be in your sign during the course of this week. I think Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Like Tuesday and Wednesday-ish. If you are not the one who broke a bone, it could also be that somebody broke a bone that you then need to take care of, whether it's a child, could be a brother. I'm not getting like sister, but like a brother, or it could be a parent. Somebody who then will need your help moving around and taking care of themselves. Yeah, I'm getting that impression pretty strongly. So I think whoever this is for, it's pretty specific. And that it's not some kind of metaphor for something else, which can also be the case when I do these readings. So I don't think that there's a metaphorical bone. I think that for some of you, just be very careful this week, especially if you are accident prone. You could be injuring yourself. Yeah, because I see somebody laid up with their leg in a cast and like the leg up on a piece of furniture. Just be very careful. Unless it's too late, in which case I'm very sorry to hear of your injury. What else do I need to talk to Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising about? You've been given this opportunity. Somebody's going through like a Christmas Carol type situation. And it's not necessarily because you're a meanie capitalist like Ebenezer Scrooge. Somebody is getting the opportunity to evaluate a lot of past situations that they were in, as well as current, almost like you're looking down on it with a bird's eye view. I don't know if, like if you're at a workplace that has video cameras and everybody's doing like a video camera review. I mean, that just seems like a lot of work for them to go through at a workplace. But it could be that you know, they have like closed circuit TV type systems that you can set up in your home now that go to your phone. And you can have these cameras set up all over your house. And maybe there's a situation where, because all of these cameras are set up all over this place, that you're able to see sides of situations, like in the Christmas Carol or in It's a Wonderful Life is another example. That's kind of more the sense that I'm getting, because that was a much more like Jimmy Stewart's character was like, you know, loved and appreciated by a lot of people, and that was what he ended up seeing. God, that movie is so depressing. Oh, I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. What a bummer. Oh, I'm so sorry that I brought up It's a Wonderful Life. What an absolute bummer of a movie. I hate that movie so much. It's so depressing. There are just certain movies that I absolutely cannot watch. It's all part of me combating my depression. Anyway, But this is going to be a similar situation for whatever reason. It's not like your guardian angel comes down and shows you these things, but there's going to be something about the situation over the next week where you have that kind of experience that you see where you've been appreciated, that you hadn't seen before, and you're able to understand more about situations that you only saw it from your own perspective. But moving forward this week, it looks like you might become privy to more of the secrets of the universe as it pertains to your particular sphere on this plane. So you can look forward to getting answers to some of life's questions answered by, who knows, by hidden camera, perhaps. Yeah, you don't have to be the person to precipitate that. It's just going to come up, and that could be for some of you. Obviously, this is a general reading, so that might not be across the board, but there might be aspects of that in all of your lives. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. It could even be like a retrospective type thing, like if you've been working somewhere for a certain amount of time, or if you're being given an award for something and they do like a retrospective on you for a certain period of time, like so and so was born in a blah 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 in the year blah blah blah, and they go through and like, during your childhood you enjoyed sports and you liked riding horses, but you didn't ever have a horse. And then in your teenage years, you were rebellious. And yeah, some kind of thing like that, where it's just like, and it could even be, now for some of you, it could even be attached to this broken bone. Because like I said, this looks like somebody's leg. It looks like it could have been a serious accident. It could be a situation where you had your life flash before your eyes even. I've heard that happens. I've never had it happen to me. I only have the situation where you're lying in bed trying to go to sleep, and all of a sudden you remember something super cringe and embarrassing that you did when you were old enough that you should have known better, and you spend like an hour trying to talk yourself down from that situation. So I think this is going to be quite a unique and beautiful thing in some ways for you. It might be horrifying and terrible, but it might also really change the way that you perceive your own existence. Is there anything else that I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising about the week ahead? Be very careful, and just, if you get a chance to hug your loved ones, take advantage of it. It's not a very safe time to be interacting closely with other people, so that's up to you. That's going to be your judgment call to make. Have a great week, and I'll see you very soon. Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to your week ahead crystal scrying forecast. This will be for the week of December 2nd through the 9th. I do go Wednesday to Wednesday. Yeah. Venus is in your sign right now, So if you want to know more about those transits, you can watch the general ephemera at the beginning of the video. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. What do I need to tell you for the week ahead? Things are going to be different. Well, yeah, Scorpio energy is all about endings and beginnings. Is that something in my apartment, or is that something that I'm smelling? Yeah, I think that must just be something here in the apartment. You're being given a second chance by someone. I don't think this is... It could be to do with your romantic life, but I think more than that, it has to do with a situation where you are benefiting off of this person being part of your life, like an employer. I don't mean that like you're using this person. I mean this like this is somebody who's either an employer or who helps you earn income or is bringing value to your life in a really concrete way like that. So it could be not just a work situation. Yeah, I feel like a heartache. I felt it like really concretely in my chest. I actually felt like, when somebody breaks your heart, there could be something like that going on this week, but not necessarily. Because I do get that there's going to be a second chance. And it could be orchestrated by... Yeah, I kind of smell vinegar. That might mean something to you if you use vinegar. I use a lot of vinegar, but I know when I'm smelling it on myself as opposed to it's like something pickled maybe. Yeah, I see something about maybe you need a timeout. That not necessarily that you have been doing anything wrong. It's not like that. But it's also possible that you need a timeout because whatever this other entity is, whether it's a romantic partner or a work situation or something like that, it could be that this other person needs to get their business together. And that's why you need a timeout. I don't feel like it's that you've done anything wrong or bad or unfortunate. But there is still this idea of it being a second chance. So there was something that happened. Something about embezzlement, maybe. but and not necessarily on your part. Yeah, this is so weird. Because I'm hearing very clearly like you're getting a second chance, but it really doesn't seem like it's related to something that you did wrong, which I hate the way that that's worded, because it makes it sound like you did something bad and you repented and now you're getting a second chance. I don't think it's like that. I think it's like you got into this situation with somebody who maybe didn't have your best interest at heart, or who maybe was taking advantage of you. And now things are restructuring and you're being given a second chance to have this person not take advantage of you this time. Possibly. Could be something like that. And I do get that you're going to have help from other people. Someone else is going to help you resolve everything that's going on. And it could be that this person is also giving you a second chance. Why do I feel like that? Like that this person saw you in a certain light and now they're seeing you differently. And it's not that they necessarily had a poor opinion of you before, or that they'll have a poor opinion of you after. But it might be a way of confirming with them the kind of stuff of which you are made. Like, they didn't realize that put into this position that you would have the fortitude that you end up having. There's going to be a surprise ending. Okay, but I'm doing a crystal scrying here, and so we're supposed to tell about the surprise ending. I'm not just supposed to say surprise ending. The surprise is that it's your birthday. Something that you got as a birthday present this year is going to end up... I'm hearing simultaneous things. I'm hearing coming back to haunt you, and I'm also hearing coming back to save you. So it could be both. It could be either one. And it could also be that it's not a birthday present per se, but something that happened around that time of year. You've given yourself an out. You've given yourself an opportunity to move forward, regardless of whatever happens in this situation. And that's what's most important, is that you're not backed into a corner right now. And that's going to be what ends up saving you the most. Even though this is a situation where you will probably... Let's see. This is a situation that will end up okay in the end. For some of you, it's going to be great. For some of you, it's going to be not quite what you had hoped. But I'm going to have to come back to that and get more information, because yeah, like your saving grace Yeah, I'm hearing all this about like a second chance. This is your saving grace. It's just really weird, redemptionist way of framing this, but you're really not at fault here. So I'm just confused about that. Now, this particular situation for Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. How is the situation going to end up? Yeah, I'm seeing like overwhelmingly bright future. Like I close my eyes and it's like I'm staring directly at the sun. Like, but not in a bad way. Not like I'm being blinded by it. Just that, like the sun tarot card, where the sun is shining brightly in the sky and everybody's having a really wonderful time. It's like that. It's like that kind of energy. Very positive. The sky is like a very beautiful shade of like blue, a light blue. And there's not a cloud in the sky. So I think long term, what is the time frame that we're looking at on this? So this week there's going to be something that happens that you're going to know that you're being given a second chance at something. You're going to take it. I'm hearing you're going to have to take it, but you don't have to. I mean, that's... everybody's got free will. You can always do something else. It's just that sometimes there are things that are the path of least resistance. Give it to your neighbor. Yeah, there's something here that maybe you are getting rid of something, or you're getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and I'm hearing that you should give it to your neighbors. There might be a neighbor in particular, and there might even be a neighbor that you have who does like online sales or sells a lot of stuff on Craigslist or something like that. And you turning this stuff over to them would help them out a lot during this time. Or it could just be that it's something that belongs in that place. And so you relinquish responsibility of it from yourself. You pass that responsibility to your neighbor. It could be something like that too. Is there anything else that I need to tell Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising at this time? Be grateful. It's a good time to be grateful. And of course, be safe, make good choices. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Hello, Sagittarius. Hello, 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 hello. Let's look at your week ahead, December 2nd through December 9th, 2020. Yeah, some of you are having birthdays this week. If you are, happy birthday to you. And I see a lot of celebration. A lot of celebration and gathering in the kitchen, but not big groups of people. These are like small family units of people. So maybe no more than 6 people at a time. Right? But in all honesty, I am seeing you being together with family, but doing it safely. Doing it with a conscious effort to protect older family members. And giving yourself lots of time between interactions so that you're also not, if you hang out with these 6 people and then you immediately leave and go hang out with another group of 6 people, you're not really protecting anyone, and you're not protecting yourself. But I see that you're really conscientious about that, but you're also very conscientious about having good energy, good holiday spirit, good, there's a lot of joy, a lot of gift giving, a lot of focus on that for you, especially this week. But I think moving forward into December as well, we are going into the holiday season. Sorry, I'm just looking up. So Hanukkah this year is going to be from December 10th through the 18th. So a lot of you will probably be getting ready for that. Christmas, of course, is coming up, and there are other holidays that occur over the winter in different faiths and different traditions as well. Not all holidays are religious, obviously. Yeah, I see you enjoying Christmas cheer more than anything else. What else do I need to tell Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead, the 2nd through the 9th? Give yourself extra time to do things. So if you think that it's going to take you an hour and a half to go to the store, for example, give yourself 2.5 hours. If you think that it's going to take you even something like getting ready for bed, if you think that it usually takes you a half hour to get ready for bed and you're trying to really get to bed at a certain time, and this is coming up specifically for somebody, give yourself more an hour and a half to get ready for bed and see if it makes a difference in being able to get to bed at the time that you want to get to bed. This is going to give you more freedom too if something comes up, because I feel like part of why you're going to want to give yourself extra time is that there might be things that come up. So it's possible that you're headed to the store and all of a sudden you get a call and you're unable to, for whatever reason, do grocery shopping and take this phone call at the same time. Or likewise, if you're trying to go to bed at a certain time, there could be something that comes up where you end up having to wash the dishes, or you realize that you haven't fed your goldfish or something like that. Or that you need to take the garbage out. It's all these little things that, aren't totally integrated maybe into your routine yet. What What else do I need to tell Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead? I think you're getting off light this week, Sagittarius. So those of you who have birthdays, happy birthday. So the Sun is in Sagittarius right now, but Mercury is also in Sagittarius right now. So if you want to know more about those transits for this week, make sure that you watch the general ephemera section of the video. And I will go into that more there. But yeah, have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Capricorn. Let's talk about your week ahead. You've been doing well? Anything you'd like to report? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I haven't experienced that firsthand, but I have heard about it. So, yeah. Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn are all still in your sign. And as we've been talking about in the past few weeks, it's now Pluto first, then Jupiter, and then Saturn. And actually, those three planets are like so close together right now. And there is coming up a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. When is that going to be? I think around Christmas. Yeah. It will be on the 21st, which is the date of the December solstice. And so one thing that we've been talking about a lot this year has been how Jupiter is all about wealth and expansion, and then Saturn is the concretion and establishment. And right now, so on the 21st, all of that energy is going to kind of be culminating on the winter solstice, having to do with career, and also having to do with the resources that are in your environment that you are able to use to your benefit. And if you want to know more about the specific ephemera for this week, Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn in your sign have been making different transits in relation to the moon. So if you want to know more about that, the moon is going to start in Cancer, which is directly opposite your sign, on Wednesday the 2nd, and then by Wednesday the 9th, the moon is going to be in Libra. So if you want to know more about all of that, I went over it at the beginning of the video. What do I need to talk to Capricorn about? Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead. There's how many of you have ever played with florist foam? It's like this green foam, and when you crush it, It crunches. Oh, I wish I had some right now. That would be really good for an ASMR video. In fact, there might be ASMR videos that feature florist's foam. It's similar to those chalk videos that you see a lot. But you can crumble it, and it crumbles just into like green dust. And I kind of like, there's kind of a smell that goes along with florist's foam. And I'm not entirely sure if it actually smells like that or if it's just an association that my brain has with the texture and appearance and of florist's foam. What do I need to talk to Capricorn about for the next week? Sun, moon, and rising. Yeah, somebody making a floral arrangement. This could have been a long time ago. Yeah, I see this girl. She's like maybe 6 years old, six to 8, possibly. Because has been left to independently create a bouquet using this block of florist's foam and a bunch of plastic flowers. And she's wearing like a really pretty white lace dress, like kind of puffy sleeve, kind of with a yoke on it. Looks kind of like what I imagine a communion dress would look like, First Communion, but I don't know very much about Catholicism. It could be another religion that does. This seems like a Protestant activity this child is doing. I grew up Methodist, so it seems kind of like, it reminds me a lot of spending time at the church that we attended when I was growing up. What does this have to do with Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead? You've been given a task that's somewhat like this. So this child being 6 to 8 years old, that florist foam and the flowers themselves present somewhat of a temptation because it's so much fun to like pinch the edge of the florist foam and it squishes and you crumble it in your hand and you just end up playing with the florist foam the whole time. And then a parent comes in and says, "What are you doing? That's not how you're supposed to do this. I trusted you. How dare you?" That's how I got talked to by my parents when I was 6 to 8 years old. Anyway, but Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, there's a lot of discipline there. And I see this child working very diligently. There's not even an emotional attachment to this task, but for whatever reason, even though this child is very young and not directed by, like, there's not an older person in the room. I feel like this child has been given this task to do. And, I mean, it's well within their grasp, you know. All they have to do is make a floral arrangement. It doesn't have to be like the best floral arrangement ever. It's plastic flowers, so it's not like they're going to be, I don't know, professional looking or something like that. But this child is putting together a bouquet of flowers with this florist foam independently, doesn't need supervision. You're doing a good job. And it's gonna be part of their whatever this little coming of age thing is within the church that they're about to do. It could be a first communion type thing. Whatever that is, this bouquet is part of that ritual. There's going to be something like that for you this week, Capricorn, where it's a task that you could easily get distracted doing it, but you remain steadfast and move forward according to what you know you need to be doing. And the idea of the immaturity here, it could be like writing up a will even. The temptation is to sit there and touch all your stuff. Like you're going to have to take inventory of all of your possessions so that you can delegate in your will what goes to who. And I think it's something that if you aren't very disciplined, or if you're not a Capricorn, I guess I should say, it would be very easy to get sidetracked and decide, oh, I really want to read this book. I haven't read this book in a long time, or I don't even remember buying this book, but I would love to read it. How did past versions of me know that I was going to want to read this book? Something like that. And the idea being that you don't know what's going to happen after you die. And therefore, there is a naivete there about it. So it could be something like that. I'm trying to think what other situations would be like that. But it's so... anything that you have never done before, you can have all of these ideas surrounding it, and yet not know exactly what it's going to be like. And therefore there's like this naivete, like a child at their first communion, and preparing the ritual objects for this thing that you're going to be doing. Okay, so and I do get that there's something about it that's very ritualistic, in that it is something that a lot of people do. It could be a ritual if you're involved in magic of some kind. It could be something like that, but it could also be a life insurance policy. It could be a will. It could be if you are making a big transition at work. Typically they train people heavily for tasks before they do them, and I guess there's a lot of training that goes into a first communion. Although in the Protestant church, really not as much. So I just feel like it's going to be something that's like that for you, Capricorn. And if it doesn't happen this week, it's something that you're going to be finding out about this week. Is there anything else that I need to talk to Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising about? No, that's it. Have a great week. Take care of yourself. And I hope to see you again very soon. Hello, Aquarius. And welcome to your week ahead forecast for December 2nd through the 9th. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What do I need to tell you? What do I need to tell Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead? There's some of you might be grilling. I know it doesn't seem like a great time of year for that, but I think there are a lot of places where it's still warm enough to grill outside or even to grill on the stovetop. Some kind of roasted meat, possibly. Something like that. Somebody's cooking meat. This obviously is not going to apply to all Aquarius. I myself don't eat a lot of meat, and I don't cook it at home very often at all. We don't keep it around the house. So, again, I am seeing something like that. There's a roasting. There's a roast. It could even be like that a family member is roasting this big piece of meat and they've invited you to have some of it. And it's a bonding activity that you're able to take part in with this person, where maybe they like pack it up and you guys do things in a really safe, quarantine friendly kind of a way. And they give you like maybe this person is also giving you like your Christmas presents at this time too. You don't know if you're going to get to see them again before Christmas. And yeah, I just really get the savory taste of like roasted meat, like a big roasted beef. Round or something like that. What do I need to tell Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this for the week ahead? Because some people are vegans. Come on. Be nice to the vegans. It could be something equivalent to that, where there's something specially prepared to share around with everyone, and that there's something like that you're able to partake of. Maybe it's like a pumpkin roast and then like pumpkin seeds on the side. That would be really good. I love pumpkin. Or like some kind of squash like that that's been roasted and seasoned really well. And what else do I need to tell Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Yeah, so like, I think it was last week or perhaps the week before we talked about this kind of cleansing, transformative process that you had gone through, right? And so now that you're on the other side of that, it's not like, this isn't in a bad way, but like there's a lot of things that you're going to have to relearn about interacting with others. And it's not like relearning them, it's like learning different ways of doing things that are commonplace, that are like routine, that you are now having to do in a completely different way than you have before. And so the muscle memory isn't there yet. And you're starting to kind of get into this new cycle of your life where you're learning you're basically learning who you are now, as opposed to who you were before. It's just a kind of transition in your life. And there was some kind of catalyst, and you're going to know what that was more than I will, that either occurred, a couple weeks ago, or the culmination of that catalyst in your life was a couple of weeks ago. And so now you're slipping into this new sense of self and awareness. And it's not like you didn't know who you were before. It's just that things are going to be different now. And I'm not quite sure exactly why, because for everyone it's going to be different. What else do I need? Yeah, I smell like popcorn. I'm smelling like a lot of roasted food. So not just like a roast beef, but there could also be like roast squash and pumpkin and root vegetables. If you are, my mouth's watering. If you are vegan and you don't eat meat, but I'm really smelling like, and not in the air in my room, like I am smelling in my mind, like this roasted, delicious food that's going to be available to you this week. And what else do I need to tell Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead? Some of you have been divorced. What does that mean? Like divorced from a marriage? Some of you, it means you've been divorced from a marriage. Does that mean that they were on the receiving end of the divorce? Only in some cases. So some of you went through a divorce, and this is like your new coming around outside of that relationship. What else could it mean? Oh, that's only for some people. Okay. So some of you, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, like you went through a divorce, and that was the catalyst for this big purifying change that occurred in your life. And I'm really sensing like I smell natron, I smell salt, I smell like not bleach. This is not like being bleached, but everything being like scrubbed white. And there being chemical agents that were used to do that, but not like harsh chemical agents, more like abrasive agents. So this was more like a polishing of the spirit of some kind. What else do I need to tell Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Yeah, it's like having been through the Judgment card. But that already happened. Well, for a lot of people. For some of you, that process is still going on. And there's going to be a great feast that's part of all of this. And the feast for some of you might even be in the middle. The feast for some of you might be on either end of that situation. but it's going to be like the Judgment card, like the Path of Shin, which I also talked to another sign about that this week as well. I don't remember offhand who. Could have been Gemini. Anyway, talking about Aquarius now. And you just feel very fresh, but also very raw because of that. So it's not like you need to baby yourself, but like you need to, if you have scrubbed yourself raw, there's the potential that you could be, that you could get an infection because your skin is so open and vulnerable. So you have to make sure that you are, and it seemed like a very dry cleanse too. So I don't know if you guys have like a lot of water in your chart, but this seems more typical to air sign type cleansing, that it was very like abrasive. I feel like cold bracing air. And yeah, just leaving you like very raw and vulnerable, but not in an emotional sense. Raw and vulnerable in more like needing to maintain a state of purity. So that's gonna mean different things to all of you, and how you maintain that state of purity is gonna mean different things to all of you too. Could mean like, doing a lot of meditation on divine white light, drawing divine white light into you and creating like a bubble, like a barrier around you. I do have like the middle pillar meditation on this channel, so you could use that. Prayer, mostly like non-specific things though. So could be prayer, but it could also be just a meditation on like doing mindfulness work to where you're totally erasing everything in your mind and just focusing on your breathing. Things like that. And I also get about this feast that it could be an opportunity for you to show off this new self, this new scrubbed down version of yourself that maybe people haven't seen before. You're going to be giving off like a radiant glow, but like a very white, pure glow. And you don't have to be like like morality is not what we're talking about here as much as the purity of mind and spirit that is unique to each individual. Is there anything else I need to tell Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this week? I think that's all I have for you for now. I hope that you have a great week. Take good care of yourself, make good choices, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Pisces. How have you been? Yeah? Alright. Well, that's not too bad. What do I have to tell Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead? So there were a couple of times that Neptune and Pisces came up in the general ephemera. So if you'd like to know more about that, that is at the beginning of the video. And I usually put timestamps below. I'm sure that it'll be timestamped. What do I need to tell Pisces? Sun, moon, and rising. Yeah, I see a fish here. I see a fish in a koi pond. Yeah, koi fish. In order to have koi fish, you have to take really good care of them. You have to make sure that the water balance, all the chemicals are balanced correctly. Koi fish, I think, can be susceptible to certain diseases. You have to keep an eye out for those. It's a very charmed life for the fish in question. I feel like for a lot of you, there has been a certain aspect to this, that you have been a big fish in a small pond and led somewhat of a charmed existence because of that. It could be different for everyone. Only you're gonna know if that resonates with you or not. Because obviously, like, a lot of people don't have things very easy right now. So I don't see it as you having things easy, just that your environment is conducive to you having a good time with your life and not having to struggle. Yeah, like a heated koi pond is really strongly imagery that I'm getting right now, and you being that koi fish in the pond and enjoying this very pleasant, catered experience in your life, whether that's right now or whether that's a normal state of affairs for you. I get that in some ways it is a normal state of affairs for you to always have what you need. But recently there's been a development where that has been more accessible to you, perhaps, than before. And again, I certainly don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings if this is not what your life is like right now. It could also be that this is something that's going to be a new development in your life moving forward. But not for everyone. I am hearing that this is only for some Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. That it's not for everyone, because how could it be? That would be too good. It easily could be for everyone if things were different. What else do I need to tell Pisces, sun, moon, and rising? I smell really good weed. Somebody's smoking really good weed. And that's up to you. I don't really partake in that anymore, because it isn't fun for me. But I know a lot of people do enjoy it, and this stuff smells very nice. But not... yeah, it's kind of a life of leisure that's coming up for you, Pisces. And if it doesn't... This might be particular to the holiday season, too. This might be a time of year where you're able to relax, that if you have a normal kind of job, that for whatever reason things aren't quite as busy this time of year and you're able to take time off. That might be the case. there's something else going on too. You're going to be given an extra yard, like an extra yard of fabric, an extra yard of space. You're going to be given an extra yard in this time, because I sense for this Pisces reading that I'm giving it for the week of December 2nd through the 9th, but that it might extend a little bit further than that. It might not just be for this 1 week. Yeah. You're in somebody's really nice house, and they have like all white everywhere. You know, like how super rich people can afford to have all white everywhere, because if anything gets messed up, they can get it like super professionally cleaned or whatever. But like, you're not afraid to touch anything. It's not like you feel like, oh, if I touch this, I'm gonna mess it up. It's also not like that. So like everything's like really nice, and you have like your shoes off on their all white carpet, and it's like super nice. And that's gonna be your holidays this year, I kind of feel like. Some of you might be celebrating Hanukkah soon. Some of you might celebrate Christmas. I kind of celebrate whatever Christmas holiday, or whatever winter holiday. Sorry, I grew up in the Methodist church, but I don't really practice Christianity anymore. I have a tendency to just celebrate whatever other holidays the people around me are celebrating. And then I'll go off and do my own thing, because nobody else is really, anyway. I feel like it's going to be kind of like that for you, but not quite. And when I say that, I mean that you're just going to be going and celebrating holidays with whoever is celebrating them. And there's not going to be a big group of people there. I think everybody for the holidays is going to kind of like pick their 6 best favorite companions and have a holiday that's just a small group, and people not like doing a lot of bouncing around among friend groups. But that people will be still able to celebrate with each other and have a good time. And I think for you, Pisces, there's definitely going to be like this very charmed existence that you lead in late December and on into early 2021. Is there anything else that I need to tell Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising about December 2nd through the 9th? Some of you might have your car registration is due, or something to do with a driver's license. And it might not be something that is due right now. It might be something that's due like 3 months from now, but if you think about it now and you get it done, like now, it'll be ready by the time it's actually due. It might be something like that. Is there anything else that I need to talk to Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising about for December 2nd through the 9th? No. That's it for you, Pisces. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. So let's take a look at the candles that I burned. Now these did burn very cleanly. They are beeswax, and they were very skinny candles. But you can see that there were some certain formations. We have a little drop of wax over here and over here. I know one of these did fall down when I was putting them up. I think it was this candle here. This candle does look a bit like a rosebud. And there is a piece coming off of it kind of over here. Now, both of these candles, the wicks are pointing kind of in the same direction this way. So this could represent two people coming together. If some of you were hoping for a new relationship, or if you are in an argument or a state of strife with another person, it could be that the two of you start seeing more eye to eye on something. And I do see that there is an olive branch here. Well, it doesn't actually look like an olive branch, but there's like this little piece of wax here that looks like it's reaching out to the other candle. And so there could be someone reaching out from one or the other sides of that situation. This wax up here, you can see that the wick is pointing out in a totally different direction. This glob of wax looks a bit like a lotus flower, or it could be like a daffodil also. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too loud. And it's kind of pointing up to this line of dots of wax. And I feel like it is reminding us to tap into that divine energy when we need to, whether it's through prayer, meditation, spell work. Those of you who went out and looked at the lunar eclipse, stuff like that. Jonquils can be associated with rebirth in spring, and so in that way are similar to the lotus, although the imagery with the lotus is much more heavily entrenched in the cultures in which that is a symbol, in which the lotus is a symbol. I think jonquils are kind of glossed over, actually. Daffodils and jonquils are some of my favorite flowers, and there's not really as much symbolism ascribed to them, but it is there. All right, so I think that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you guys coming back week after week. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe. Do leave me a comment down below if you enjoyed the video, or if there's stuff that I've done that you really enjoyed and you want to see me do it more. I actually had kind of forgotten about using candles in the video, but I really like doing that, so I might do it more often. And I hope that all of you have a great week, take care of yourselves. And I look forward to seeing you again